So if you've ever felt like weight loss is impossible for you, it is not your fault. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down why 90% of women feel like they're failing with weight loss and exactly how to fix that. Hi, I'm Trevor Buccieri. I've helped nearly 30,000 women lose almost 600,000 pounds with my proven Transform One system. And here's the deal. You've been told the wrong things about weight loss your whole life. And it's not about willpower. Your body is literally working against you. So again, I'm going to break down what I feel is the four main categories to why 90% of women feel like they're failing with weight loss, and then how to fix each one of them. I'm also going to give you a bonus at the end, which is going to tie everything together. Number one, the reason why most diets fail. It's not willpower. Now let's go inside that here. So first thing, your body fights back when you actually diet too hard. All right. So when we diet too hard, we tend to think, oh my gosh, we're going to cut calories big time here. We're not going to eat enough to actually support, say muscle and our lean tissue on our body, and also repair, rest, all the things, all the body functions that need to happen. So when we actually diet too hard, or diet incorrectly, I should say, our metabolism slows down. Main reason our metabolism slows down is because when we have too few calories in our body loses muscle. Muscle is our metabolism. So again, when we're dieting too hard, our metabolism slows down because we lose muscle. Our body eats the muscle first. We would want it to eat the fat first, but that's not how it works, because it only takes 4 calories to burn 1 gram of muscle. It takes 9 calories to burn 1 gram of fat. So again, muscle is a much more accessible fuel. Also, hunger hormones increase. Again, when we're actually dieting too hard, metabolism slows down and our hunger hormones increase big time, all right? And again, that really puts our body into flux, and it's more or less in a fight or flight response. It is wondering what the heck is going on here. So the next thing under why most diets fail here is cutting calories backfires long term. Because again, when we're talking about calorie cutting, most people think about it as, I'm going to eat 800 calories per day, and that's going to be good because less is more, right? Absolutely not. Because again, this is going to, just like we talked about, lead to muscle loss. It's going to lead to metabolic slowdown. So again, when we lose muscle, our metabolism slows down, and then rebound weight gain. Because what happens is, oh my gosh, there's only so long we can take this, right? And as soon as we actually stop, we can't take it anymore, we feel like we're going to gnaw our own arm off, then all of a sudden we start going back to what we were before. But the whole deal is when we go back, we don't have as much muscle as we did because we lost a bunch of it. So we actually rebound weight gain. On top of that, we tend to actually gain more weight than we were before, and we end up higher in weight than we were before. And we're like, what the heck is going on? All right, so another reason why most diets fail is because the whole eating less and moving more, it's outdated because it ignores several factors. It ignores hormones, how they're affected by it, because when we're talking eating less, most people think way less, right? So if we're eating way too little, our hormones are significantly affected. Basically, we're in the fight or flight, and that actually makes cortisol go up. So we've heard about, I can't lose weight because I have high cortisol. Well, there's a lot of reasons why that can be, and we'll go into more detail. In fact, that's another great episode to really talk about here. But eating less and moving more. Yes, in general, say eating less of the wrong stuff and moving more is always good, but we have to be in a right balance to make sure we have the proper nutrients. And if not, what happens is we have hormone fluctuation, our metabolism drops, and also our stress goes up. Because again, cortisol is a stress hormone. So again, if we're eating too little or eating the wrong stuff, our cortisol, which is our stress hormone, goes up, and we actually feel way more stressed. So in order to actually fix this, let's give you some scenarios in terms of how to fix this, in terms of why most diets fail. It's use a sustainable, data-driven approach. So basically, it's tracking what you're doing. Use the data specifically, and then actually adapt your approach with the body's feedback. All right, we're going to talk more detail on that as well. The second main category here is your body is working against you, and here's why. Hormones control fat loss. We talked about hormones a little bit here. It's not just calories. It's not all about calories, because calories cause a fluctuation in hormones. Calories, whether it be up or down, make our hormones move in different ways. So hormones control fat loss. We have cortisol, we have insulin, we have estrogen, and then the thyroid. They all play a role. Another reason under that, in terms of our body is working against us, is stress and poor sleep equals more belly fat. All right, so this is basically cortisol increases fat storage. All right, so when we have stress and we have poor sleep, right, our cortisol increases. and it increases our fat storage. All right, so we get higher cortisol, and that says, hey, you know what? We should actually increase our fat storage here because we're kind of in hibernation mode. And guess what? It especially increases in our midsection, the area we don't want it to go. So another thing under the category of our bodies working against us is gut health matters more than people realize. This is huge. If your digestion is off, all right, if you're not going to the bathroom regularly, magnesium citrate, by the way, all right, so that's another way you can really get yourself regular. If our digestion is off and we're not going regularly, fat loss slows down. Absolutely. So here's a fix for this. Balance our hormones. Now, this can be done many ways. It can be done through detox, because the whole thing is if we have a huge, influx of, say, toxicity in our body from, past actions, past, practices of eating the wrong things, eating unhealthy, things like that. Basically, toxicity builds up in our body and it becomes almost impossible to lose weight. And this is called weight loss resistance or metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance. All these things are very, very similar. They're kind of almost actually one. They're just different names. Okay, so we want to balance our hormones. We can talk about this, several different ways. But number one is a full systemic cellular detox. There's several detox programs, several detox products out there as well, but that's one thing. We can also do that actually through clean eating. We call it taste-centered clean eating because taste is everything. If it doesn't taste good, no one wants to eat cardboard and broccoli over and over again. We can balance our hormones through doing a detox. We can balance our hormones through clean eatings of, say, clean proteins, clean fruits, vegetables. We can also optimize our digestion for real fat loss. Now, this is actually, I kind of mentioned this a little bit before, but taking a probiotic for gut health. That's one thing, because we talked about, man, the gut is so important for fat loss. It's been underutilized, underleveraged for decades, but now there's so much more research linking it to effective fat loss, linking it to the regulation of hormones. It's like the gut is your second brain. You may have heard that before, but that's essentially what it is. If the gut is regulated, your hormones are going to be regulated and your body basically gets into that rhythm, okay? So we can optimize our digestion for real fat loss by taking probiotics for gut health, and also I mentioned magnesium citrate, really for regularity. The whole thing is be conscious of the stresses that you are actually bringing in, and also things that you can use for stress releasers. That's another thing as well. And that's how we can really get ourselves back into check and basically work against our body working against us, right? We can fight our body's resistance to the changes that we're actually bringing into play. Number three, the big number three is the three biggest mistakes that women over 35 make. Number one is actually over-restricting calories and yo-yo dieting. Now, we've talked about this, and I've mentioned this already several times in terms of we have that concept of, the more I restrict, the more I'm going to lose. Now, interestingly, in some cases, yes, the more you may lose on the scale, but the proportion that you're going to be losing of muscle to fat, it's crazy. It really is, because if we're restricting our calories so much, the majority of the weight we're going to be losing is actually muscle weight, which means that we're going to be losing very little fat. So the scale may go down, oh my gosh, I just lost 15 pounds, but you may just have lost 10 or 12 pounds of muscle in only 3 to 5 pounds of fat. And that is not what we want at all. And then yo-yo dieting, okay? Yo-yo dieting is basically the up and down, the go on a diet and you suffer, for a period of time until you can't suffer anymore, and then you go off. And then you find another fad diet and you go on that one again for as long as you can, and you're suffering through it, and then you go off. And the whole thing of the yo-yo up and down, right? What this does is this is going to slow your metabolism down, and it's going to make fat loss harder and harder over time. And the reason why is because your metabolism is slowed down, meaning your muscle is less on your body. And again, we get that skinny fat feel. And I've heard this term so many times. Oh my gosh, I lost 40 pounds before I came in here, but I felt like I had no muscle. I felt like it was like empty, and it was just like, what happened to me? It was never like this before. And this is one of those big mistakes. And 9 times out of 10, this is one of the reasons why. Another reason here is cardio only workouts, or doing cardio only workouts. Here's the deal. It doesn't burn fat, it burns muscle, because just like we talked about, muscle is the most accessible fuel. It takes 4 calories to burn 1 gram of protein or muscle. It's the same thing. It takes 9 calories to burn burn 1 gram of fat. Okay, so we're burning muscle, not fat, and this leads to, again, the skinny fat look. And then the third biggest mistake is going to be ignoring protein intake and also strength training. Now, I would say more ignoring protein intake, because protein is the building block of muscle, and muscle equals a faster metabolism. So simply by consuming protein, we are actually going to be building muscle, even if we're not resistance training. And also another thing, simply by ingesting enough protein, we're going to be preserving the highest potential, the highest level of muscle on our body that we possibly can, meaning that the only thing we're going to be losing essentially is fat, so that we're keeping our muscle, we're losing the fat, and our metabolism remains very, very high, and we get that fire going. So basically, eating more protein equals muscle equals faster metabolism equals easier fat loss. So the fix here is prioritize eating more protein to actually boost that metabolism. The big number 4 is the science-backed formula for lasting fat loss. So here it is. There's a couple components under this here. Number 1 is really just eating in a slight deficit. All right, so we talked about way under calorie. And I'm just gonna throw a number out here just for simple math. We're gonna say 2,000 calories is the number that we're eating right now, and we're not losing any weight on it. When I say a slight calorie deficit, we're talking minus 500 calories. So we're going from 2,000 down to 1,500 calories and not getting ourselves into starvation mode. So eating a slight deficit, not in starvation mode, is the key. Aim for that moderate calorie reduction. Say 300 to 500 calories in reduction is a good reduction. 500 calories is actually a really nice reduction here as well. But when we go lower than that and we say, if I ate 1,500 calories, now if I brought it down to 1,000 calories, then I would lose twice as fast. No, you actually may not. 2 things are gonna happen. Number 1, you would actually stop losing weight altogether. Or number 2, you'd continue to lose weight, but the proportion of muscle that you would lose would drastically go up. And the fat content would roughly stay exactly the same, or in some cases, it would actually go up. So let's talk about this. The second component of science-backed formula for lasting fat loss is prioritizing protein and strength training. Now, we talked about this. Again, this is gonna help burn fat while keeping muscle. And it needs to be said again because it is so underutilized. And it's also something that's so easy to leverage, is eat more protein. Here's a great pro tip right here. Whatever your dream body weight is, let's just say it's 150 pounds. What you're gonna be wanting to do is go for 150 grams of protein throughout the day. Okay, and you can spread that throughout your meals, but that's a really good pro tip in terms of, am I getting enough? That will make sure you have enough to actually retain. Next thing here in terms of the science-backed lasting fat loss formula here is tracking biofeedback. So we talked about this data and not just using the scale. Of course, the scale is a great measurement, but not just the scale. When I say biofeedback, what do I mean by that? Because that's a big, big word. It's tracking sleep, it's tracking energy. And these are all the things that we do in our Transform One system. And it's been such a game changer for us because there is no speculation, there is no guessing. Because when we're guessing what's working, well, we all know how that goes. I mean, we've tried that, in our lives with many different things, but there's true science that actually links to success and also the speed of success. And also, success in terms of a definition of, well, I lost the weight, but do I like the outcome? I lost 20 pounds like I wanted to, but man, I feel skinny fat, compared to, oh my gosh, I lost 20 pounds like I wanted to, and I have my dream body. I can't believe how I look and feel. This is unbelievable. And that is by tracking biofeedback. We're talking about sleep. We're talking about energy levels. We're talking about stress levels. Basically, we actually track what's called stress management level. And what that does is it allows us to actually see how is someone managing stress. All right, so if their stress management level goes up, it means that they're managing stress better and that their cortisol level has dropped, meaning that their stress hormone has dropped, so their body is now letting go of fat that much faster. I mean, something like that has changed the game for us. We're also actually measuring not only weight, but also body fat percentage, lean mass percentage in terms of how much muscle, just to make sure that we're not undercaloried, we're maintaining the muscle and losing the fat. We're tracking water, we're tracking bone density. All these biofeedback trackers are so important. And then also digestion, and in terms of regularity of bowel movements, things like that. And this is gonna tell us if our plan is working. So here's the fix. It's a data-driven tracking system, really. And this makes sure that your plan continues to adapt to your body's need. That's very, very important. I don't want to leave that yet because every single person is different. Every single person needs an individualized program because you're going to respond differently than I'm going to respond than this person next to me over here. We all are going to respond differently because we're all built differently. We're all unique. You know what I mean? Just like any facet of our lives, we are snowflake specific. So a data-driven tracking tracking system allows us to adapt ourselves to the feedback we're getting from the data. All right, so the data might tell me to go left, it might tell you to go right. And based upon that, it's going to severely speed up our results and also make it enjoyable along the way. Because the thing is that we're going to be getting to the finish line we want to get to, as opposed to a finish line that we're like, this is not the finish line I thought I was going to be at here. So we are at the bonus. We're at the bonus here. This is the shortcut to results. So the shortcut to the results that you're looking for is how data-driven fat loss changes everything. I mean, that's really it. Data-driven fat loss has changed it all for us. Data-driven individuality has been a huge breakthrough for me in my weight loss profession career. We track, we don't guess. We talked about that because when we guess, we're just saying, hey, here's 20 different principles that tend to work for people. Let's try this first principle. We throw the idea against the wall and we see if it works for you. And then we say, let's throw this other idea against the wall and see if that works for you. And this is actually how weight loss was for years and years and years, by the way. And in fact, this is actually how it is with 99% of weight loss out there. Call it, Nutrisystem, call it Weight Watchers, call it Jenny Craig. It is this way. There are 15 to 20 different principles that it's kind of like everyone's in the exact same pool. It's generic, if you will. And it's kind of like, hey, these 15 to 20 things work. Just go see if they work for you. All right. So we track, we don't guess. That way we know specifically what's working for you, what's working for me, what's working for her, for him, whatever it may be, right? Because everyone is different. So we track, we don't guess. Real-time data lets us optimize really our patients' fat loss individually and the speed that we've been able to do it, and also the enjoyability that our patients have been able to experience during the journey makes it long-term, because the suffering disappears because it's so manageable that they're like, I can't believe this. In fact, just to share a recent story about my wife here. Recently, we just had our fourth boy, and he's 8 months old right now. And, for the first, I'd say 6 months, first 6 months afterwards, if you have kids, you know how it is. You're basically just fighting for survival. You're fighting for sleep. You're trying to get your time. Basically, you don't even know what time it is. About 2 months ago, she said, okay, I'm ready. Let's do this. And I said, oh my gosh, you got to try this new thing. You got to try this new thing that I put together here. Again, we call our nutrition, we call it taste-centered clean eating. And it's really interesting because I've done over, in fact, 38 different nutrition programs in my career, mainly because that was my backstory. I was an overweight kid. It was something that just wouldn't allow me to actually come out of my shell. It was holding me back big time. And I didn't know this until I started losing weight. And then all of a sudden my confidence grew and I was like, whoa. And I kind of became addicted to it and became obsessed with it. And I'm like, I gotta really get into this. Does anyone know about this? Is a crazy thing. It just changed my life completely. So I've documented 38 different nutrition programs, everything under the sun. And the thing is that several of them I just did not like, but many of them had great principles that I was like, oh my gosh, I really like this principle from this plan and this principle from this plan and this principle and this principle. So what I've really done over my career, over the past 29 years now, I basically have a principle-based nutrition program. It's really not, there isn't a name to it, so to speak. Call it as the Trevor Buccieri nutrition program, but we call it 15 and 30 because it helps our patients lose 15 pounds within 30 days and 15 inches within 30 days. And here's the thing, they actually love it. And my wife has done so many different nutrition programs with me over the past several years just because she's into it as well. She likes to experiment. She was blown away by this, and I wish she was here. In fact, I'll have her on sometime, to talk about this. But her biggest thing was she's like, I can't believe, number one, how quickly this came off. And number two, my body tone, she hadn't even started working out yet because she really loves to work out, but she hadn't worked out. And the tone on her body, it's unbelievable without the exercise because of the fact that she was getting enough of that protein. And within 12 weeks, she's lost 24 pounds. And she was only about 146 pounds to begin with, but she's back to her, pre-baby weight. That's where she was before. And she's like, I just can't believe that. And there were actually days as well that she was allowing herself to, go off and enjoy. We went out to family dinner and stuff like that, but then she'd be right back on. And then we would do it again the next week and then she'd be right back on. So that was also including, she wasn't perfect. And that's another rule here is you don't have to be perfect. I said another rule, but there are no rules. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned from these other 37 plans that I've done is that many of them were so restricting and so many rules that I just couldn't wait for them to be done. And if you've ever done a program like that, that's a recipe for disaster right away. If you can't wait to be done right when you've started, I mean, how defeating is that, right? Now, that was a huge rant on this, but basically the whole idea of, the shortcut to results is how data-driven fat loss changes everything is we track track everything, we don't guess. So by us being able to give her a tailored individual program for her, it made it very simple for her to do. Number one, she was like, that's it? Like, okay. I mean, it was like a 5-minute explanation. She's like, oh, I completely got it. Number two, she enjoyed it. She was like, this is great. Like, I don't really feel the need to go out and like binge eat and stuff like that. And that's been something that I've, suffered with, and also she has suffered with for quite some time. And that actually went away. She didn't have to deal with that, and she basically flew through with flying colors, and she got to her weight quicker than she ever has before. So the next thing with our how data-driven fat loss changes everything is adapt as your body changes. This is so important as well. Like we said, every single person is going to have a different path. Every single person is going to need different strategies coming into play. Every single person's data is going to be different in terms of how they respond to the different strategies. When we're actually tracking, when we're actually using the data, we're able to actually adapt individually as our body changes, meaning that we can make personalized adjustments. We can make personalized adjustments to calories. We can make personalized adjustments to protein proportions. We can make personal adjustments to supplementation, all right, things like that are really going to make the ball move so much faster, and at the same time enjoy the process to the point where you're like, I don't even feel like I'm on a diet. And that is the whole point. Diets suck. If I can tell you anything, after literally going through 38 of them in my career, I don't like diets. And that's why we don't call what we actually practice a diet. We don't. We call it taste-centered clean eating, because that was my landing point. Was like the majority of the things that I did, I was like, I hate the taste of this. I can't do this. I can't do this long term. How am I supposed to actually, retain this and maintain this? And it's like, oh my gosh, how much more time? It's like you're counting the minutes. How successful am I going to be with this long term? So adapting as our body changes, we have personalized adjustments that we actually utilize for faster, longer term success, because that's the biggest thing that my wife was saying too, is she's like, this is no problem. Like, I've never done one of your programs or one of the other programs that she's been such a champ to go along with and try out. She's like, I've never done a program that I'm like easy to understand and like, yeah, I could do this forever. There is no finish line. I just kind of keep on it, and I'm enjoying it to the point where I don't feel like, oh my gosh, the weekend is here, I have to binge, what I mean? And that's the first time she's ever felt that. It's the first time I've actually ever felt this too, and it's interesting because I've been doing this for 29 years, almost 30 years, and this has changed everything. Another component of how data-driven fat loss changes everything is what gets measured gets managed. So when we're talking about the data we're collecting, this is why women in our program lose fat so much faster and they keep it off long term, because we're measuring everything, and what we measure gets managed. It's just like, say, if you have a business or anything that needs measurements, all right? So we're looking at numbers, accountants, right? Anything that needs management, if we're not measuring it, it never gets managed. So how can we actually fix this? How can we actually fix these components here? Number one is stop guessing. Start using real data to actually make fat loss effortless. And we can do this by utilizing technology that you have access to. Smart scales, smart watch technology. That's a great start right there. You can get the oxygen sensors as well, which tell you the blood oxygenation level. You basically pop it on your finger. All these things give you a massive pool of data. And what we have is we actually have a system that we call My Data. And what it does is it actually takes all the data from these components, from our smart scales, from our smart watch, from our Oura rings, all these different components that we're using as technology. It brings it into our system, and it basically formulates exactly what's working for you, exactly what needs adjustments for you or for our patients here. And that allows us to literally tailor it specifically to them so that they actually have, say, 1 to 2 focus points. If I only just focus on this 1 or 2 things, all of a sudden I'm going to get out of my funk. I'm going to basically get out of my plateau and start losing again. And the answer is yes. And it happens every single time. And that's how we've been able to be so successful. So stop guessing. Start using the data that's out there available to you through smartwatch technology, through smart scale technology, because it is at your access. Now that you know why most women fail, what's one mistake that you've actually made in the past? I'd love to hear that. And if you could actually drop that in the comments below, that would be really helpful to me, because I would love to, I love collecting that data as well. Again, what gets measured gets managed. I would love to know if I'm on point with what's resonating with you. And also, if this hits home for you, save this post because it could change your entire weight loss journey. Absolutely. And I'd also love to hear your feedback. If you want me to go deeper on any of these points, please just let me know and I will break it down in another video. Again, my name is Trevor Buccieri. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and give your best to the rest of your day. Take care.